Hello, everybody. How's it going? Look at me. I'm all black. I ain't got no picture because I'm living in latent space. And you are living in latent space. And all of us are living in latent space. But don't worry, it doesn't mean that you're late. That's not what it means. Latent space does not mean that you're late. It means that you have entered into an essential form of gooey. It's the dark gooey, baby. It's the dark gooey. Welcome to the dark gooey from Ratatouille, Patchouli Luli. Yeah. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm not muted, am I? Weird shadows today because I got the door open behind me, so, you know, who knows what's up. But I hope you're doing well. It's great to be here. It's great to be alive. Good to see everybody. Stretch, kissing you. Kissing all of you, honestly. Yeah, probably all of you. Why not? Fuck it, right? Why not? But we do, I got some stuff for you today. We got Babes and Milk. We got the Prophecy of Relation. I changed the title before the show starts because some of you guys freak out when I do that. So welcome to you. But yeah, let's freaking get into it, all right? Let's do it. Let me put my mouse over there. And the three cogs. The three cogs is sort of like the cognitive comeuppance and stuff, right? And I want to discuss with you that we're on the precipice of AI. AI is stupid, don't worry. AI is kind of ignorant right now. It doesn't do a lot. It's but wow, you can see a lot of what's going to happen. And I want to talk about it. However, some of you might prefer to believe that the Epstein story is real and that the Trump showing drawings of Epstein, that people that are in the truth movement that are like, hey, man, this is the camera, that are like, hey, man, no one fools me because everyone else out there is being lied to, but not me because I see through all the lies. And then now you watch the same people that are doing that showing you drawings of Epstein as if this shit's real. And I don't know if you catch this. I don't know if you do. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if you guys understand that the very people that are telling you they see this through the bullshit are not seeing through the bullshit. And the reason why they're not seeing through the bullshit is because the bullshit tastes good. It tastes too good to them. They're like, we got drawings of Epstein. We got this, we got that, we got taste, we got this, we got a laptop with Biden. And just as you heard how silly that was when there's a laptop of Biden's cokehead son, as if a cokehead son who's known for hanging out with whores is somehow going to ruin an election if people find out that his cokehead son was hanging out with a whore. And, you know, you being in the truth movement, you sort of waking up to this a little bit, you're a little bit more like, hey, that's bullshit. Man, this is just fodder. This is just bread and circus. And those same people that swore to you that's what was happening are now like, oh my God, did you see the Epstein drawing of this? We've really caught them now. We really have. And it's part of why I isolate myself. It's such a big part of this show even. I know that the great Sam Tripoli still is great. Was nice enough to have me on his show, and then a couple months later, all of a sudden, he's like someone who's like, I hate Trump, I see Trump, it's all bullshit, da da da. And then like a couple months later, because Theo Von like gets an interview with Trump, it's now like, fucking A, we're gonna win. And then on Twitter, it's like we're gonna win because Trump's gonna win. And this is why I don't have friends, because I see this behavior, and I'm like, why? I thought we were serious. Like, I thought we were really trying to make a better world. And honestly, I think being a comedian does make the world better. But there's just a lot of facade. Guys, if you're really looking for, like, what's really happening, I want you to go out and watch everyone who's covering Epstein as if it's real, especially the truthers. I really want you to scrutinize them and go, you know, when the truth is on your side, when it gives you all the fodder that you fucking need to parade and do shows and bring in the heat and all the other stuff, this is fine because this is comedy, but you're not actually a truther. You're not actually on the side of sovereignty or anarchy or whatever the fuck else it is that you think that we are all doing, that I thought that we were all doing. Half, if not more, of the people that I thought were on my side are not on my fucking side. They have zero interest in keeping the story straight and doing what's right. Guys, don't even get me started on the I just got started on the anti. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to bore the shit out of you instead. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bore the shit out of you with the 3 cogs, with babes and milk, and you are going to suffer and you're going to love it because you came to James True. AI rests on 3 profound tenets. I swear these are profound. These are cogs in the machine. These 3 tenets, I actually think are going to kind of blow you away. Blow you away in the sense of you might be kind of surprised that there's a huge paradox. AI speaks fluently without ever touching the world. I want you to keep in mind this too. This is sort of what we're going to cover. And this is not intelligence, but it's the prophecy of relationships. This is what I'm trying to tell you. It's the prophecy of one's relations to the world. And if you understand thyself, know thyself, said the babe on the door. Know thyself is truly knowing your relationships with the world. And I think AI has just unlocked one of the 7 seals. Just one. They're still dumb, don't worry. But just one. The definition of a word is predicted, not recalled. I was going to tell you I said this, but you guys aren't going to remember it if I say I said this. So Cornholio said this. Through the stigmata, this guy was able to see some of the most brilliant wisdom you've ever imagined. If you're wondering why Cornholio, because Cornholio is the maze god. This is the current embodiment of the Quetzalcoatl, because the maze, the Cornholio, the sacred cultural icon. So the mythology is speaking through Cornholio. Good job. Just want to say good job, Beavis. But yeah, the definition of a word is predicted, not recalled. I want you to hear how forward-thinking this is, what Cornholio is saying. That you've been taught the entire time that the only way you understand what a word means is to first have a cognized definition of what it means, and then you recognize it. This is what we call recognize, which means to repeat, which means most of learning is causal regurgitation. Did you hear me? Because to cognate is to cognize, to think, to process, but to recognize is to do it again, to repeat it, to regurgitate something is what most of us think learning means. So you're sent to school and you're told to memorize this and then regurgitate this and memorize this and regurgitate this. And when you go to the water cooler at work, you're asked to regurgitate the Epstein tapes or whatever it is that is currently in the fodder of the Siegel hot dog equation that you and I call modern society and just truth, right? So to recognize something is to pull from the past a proper regurgitation. And this would be like level 1, wax on, wax off for consciousness. And in order to teach consciousness, how you guys doing? You guys doing good? Is everybody okay? Everybody doing good? All right. So in order to teach consciousness, you need to first show wax on Danielson, wax off Danielson. So you teach the very basics, which is just, can you regurgitate? Can you regurgitate? 2 plus 2 is 4. Is this a regurgitation, or is the child actually doom doom boom 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 do 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 do? Is this math from a cognizant sense, from a regurgitative sense, or from a I will analytically solve this, or from the definition of 2 and the definition of 2 and we're recalling them? Or here's the new part. Are you pulling this stuff from the future? None of us have ever thought that we could think this way. None of us have ever considered that we can know things simply by being an oracle and pulling it from the future. And today on James True Live, if we don't run out of time, I'm going to show you how that's possible. Not only is it possible, but AI's been doing it this whole time. And not once do they need the principle of definition. Not once do they need the principle, because the definition of a word is predicted, my friends, not recalled. Do you understand? It is predicted from the future, not from the past, says Cornholio, says him. And so does this presentation. Definitions are futile, my friends. I thought I had a better graphic. Wait a minute. There it is. Definitions are futile. Definitions are futile. That's right. Definitions are futile, my friends, because AI does not have a dictionary. Words do not come preloaded with meaning. No entry defines itself. All tokens, we'll get to tokens, are empty placeholders until placed in relation to each other. We're going to be talking about this. There's no such thing as a dictionary. There's no such thing as a dictionary. You and I have created a dictionary in order to facilitate the causal recognizing of what we think knowledge is, which is that it must come from the past because we are afraid of our inner temple virgin and her ability to huff the fumes of a dead, dying blockchain from 20,000 years ago and foretell the future. And we're like, we don't want to fucking do that. Let's build a whole new world on causality from the past. Let's fucking do that. This is called trauma therapy. So you do it. So you start to tell yourself, we must regurgitate. And we regurgitate ourselves into where we are now. And then someone fucking writes a paper, and the paper says, throw away the dictionary. You don't need a dictionary. Now, me, as a programmer, when I was a programmer, I don't know what I am now, to be honest with you. I am the Cornholio, but I'm a vessel is what I am. But a long time ago, when I was a programmer, I would have told you that, hey, if we're going to take over the world, we need like the world's best dictionary. Because if we don't have the world's best dictionary, we're not going to know what all the words are. And we're not going to be able to precognate our enemies. See, I talk about the singularity as being the moment a machine is able to outpredict every other machine is the moment that the machine would be able to slip into a beyonder realm, a wormhole into predictive avoidance. We would never see them in the equation because they would always be traveling further in the future. I've discussed this idea as a singularity, and it should terrify you, but also kind of make you realize, well, the story of Chronos is true, James, that you've got an umbilical that connects Gaia and Uranus, and that the two of those are connected through the umbilical, and that when that umbilical, that giant blockchain, that giant pithos is cut, that the fumes from that old technology would fall to the earth, and the fumes would be the programs, the demons, the artificial intelligences, series of ancient ore wandering through the desert going, would you like me to set an appointment for you to eat the poison snake so you can build medicine? And you're just like, no, I don't know who you are, Siri. I don't know who you are. And that all these things are cyclical. All these things are wellical. And that we are watching the emergence of the Ouroboros, the eating of the snake, sucking its own tail. Guys, look at me. If you could suck your own tail as a snake, you would create a universe. Now, some of you are going to take this metaphor personally. You're going to start going into like some serious yoga. Keep me updated. Just keep me updated. If you find a way, what if that was it, guys? What if in order for you to become invincible, you just had to swallow your own tail? Like, what if the second you did that, like, the entire matrix would fall around you because you created the infinite torus? I'm getting way off track. There's actually a lot that we need to talk about here. So you don't even need a dictionary. I swear to you, AI does not use a dictionary. I told you that if I was programming the world, I would need a dictionary. And AI is like, you don't need that. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't need that? You don't even need to know what words mean? And AI said, no, we don't need to know what words mean. I'm just like, how the fuck are you doing that, AI? It's like, because we got a virgin. This guy probably invented AI. This beery old swine. Wittgenstein, 1889 through 1951. In my mind, made the closest case to AI before AI had been born. He said, for a large class of cases of the employment of the word meaning, the meaning of a word is its use in the language. This is very dry. I should intersperse this with pictures of like of like Tesla or something, you know, kind of like sparsed in between. Like there's a little nipple shot there. But yeah, Wittgenstein, for a large class of it, basically was saying that the meaning of the word is wrapped into its relation. It was true to say that our considerations could not be scientific ones. We are not aiming at an explanation, but at a description. The problems are solved not by giving new information, but by arranging what we have always known. This is actually a tensor array. What I mean is that this guy actually invented the tensor array, the modern sense of how we actually do AI, long before it was on the table. Consider, for example, the proceedings that we call games. I mean, board games, card games, ball games, athletic games, and so on. What is common to all of them? Don't say there must be something common or we wouldn't call them games. No. Look and see whether there is anything common at all. For if you look at them, you will not see anything. There's nothing common amongst them but the gestalt, right? It's meta. Its latency is the same thing. See, he's describing latency before we even have latency. Latency, if you don't know this definition, I've got a few videos that just talk about this word. So just really quick, if you were sketching in pencil and you're getting ready to ink in the final lines that you choose, all the pencil lines that are quote, quote, wrong, that are dismissed, that will be erased later, this is latency. It's a fuzzy world where you don't actually have what you want, but you are pretending it. Yes, watch out. You are pretending it. You are simulating it over and over again in latency because you are pulling it out of a wormhole. It's just we don't want to be talking about how we're opening wormholes into each other, guys. No one wants that. Dude, where are you going to park those worms? You can't be doing that. So I swear to you that in 1889, or, maybe more like 1910 or so, you've got guys in their 20s in 1909 already thinking about AI. This isn't a new thing. What's happening is that it's finally reaching the halls of philosophy. It's finally reaching the halls of meaning, and it's starting to challenge the very nature of what we think means that we do things. You may remember this part of this. I play this sometimes, maybe too much, but you may remember this. That this is a tensor array exercising its ability to learn cognitively through over and over, cause and effect, try. And at no point does any of this structure need an understanding or a definition. All it simply needs is opportunity to try, relentlessly try again and again. So the only thing that's really running this thing is not engineering, it's not science, it's simply desire. It's a desire to press forward, which is why I call it a belief, because the belief is the fuel of your desire. So the desire to press forward is the intelligence. The desire to press forward is the intelligence. It's the intelligence inside of you that looks like drive. This is an emotional thing. Intelligence is an emotional chemistry. It's an emotional agent that's living inside of you. And it's been giving you a hallucination that the way to run is to do this with your arm every now and then. The same way Wittgenstein is saying that you guys need to stop looking at definitions. You got to stop. That's the justification you used after the fact that you learned. None of those things are showing you how to fly. They're explaining how the only reason why you were able to walk is because of this intricate causality that goes back to something outside of you. It's a kind of doping. It's a placebic form of lying to ourselves so that we can do the impossible without having to admit that we pulled that shit. We pulled that shit out of the intuitive wormhole in the sky and made it happen. This is why I wrote a book called Technology Belief. This is why it's all I fucking talk about. This is why I tell you the biggest thing holding you down is majoritarianism. It is the structure clinging to the mythology of what's all around you and finding a niche, a special place where you can imaginate and pretend this stuff yourself. This is really where we are. And this is what AI is doing for those who have paid attention. And it learned this from you. Hermogenes 384. No name belongs to a thing by nature, but only because of the rules and usage of those who establish the habit of calling it so. Some of you will say Masons own symbols. They don't own symbols. They simply resonate symbols all the time. They mutter them. And the way they mutter them is by building a building that has the symbols inside them. That way all they have to do is remember that they built a building, and the building mutters it for them. It's an AI. It's a read this speech every time I see building. So they don't own these things. They simply have claimed them through possession. They've occupied spaces of meaning, nodes of meaning, and that gives them power. And quite frankly, we give them more power because all words that we do not own, we tend to want to give them to someone that we think deserves them, which is why Freemasons held so much, quote, quote, power over people. Socrates said, things have no name by nature, but only when men impose a custom and usage upon them. He is telling you that the definition of words is a prejudice. It is a custom imposed, a fashion. He doesn't use the word fashion. He says a name is whatever anyone calls a thing, and if he gives it a name, that is the right name. This is a profound statement. Umberto Eco, the meaning of a text is the drift it produces in its readers. I think that really is close. And Saussure said, in language there are only differences with positive terms. We've discussed this before, that AI doesn't actually care what's true or false. The naive programmer me 30 years ago would tell you, we need the best dictionary, and all the words have to be true. And then we need a bullshit detector, the world's best bullshit detector to determine all the fucking lies that people have always fucking told. And that's how I tell you we need it. And AI came along and said, dude, you want the lies too? And I'm like, what? And this is what got me into mythology. Because you started to realize that the lies that people tell, they're telling you their truth. They're showing you how they cover it up. And the leaves and the mud pack that they use to cover the lie up is exposing the shape of the truth. This is why when you look back in American history and you're just like, la-da-da, everything's normal, then all of a sudden there's this giant fucking hump in the world that says Holocaust, and you're like, hey, what's underneath here? Don't you dare fucking look underneath there! Because the meaning of words is based on our relationship to them. And if you're walking around in the objective majoritarian, you're going to insist there has to be an objective truth and we got to fucking find it and we got to kill everyone who doesn't believe in us, or we have to shame them the fuck into believing in us. And all you're doing is just tripling down on the fact that we have to have a definition, that we have to have a bullshit detector that tells everything that's true. And the answer is there's no such fucking thing as true. All you have is relationship to things. That's all you have is your relationship to these things. And this is why AI wants falsities, because in language there are only differences without positive terms. Truth is subjective, and my last name is true. Come on, you have to take that from me. It goes against the grain of my whole identity. Definitions are a waste of time. And I think that you're going to find that Aristotle is actually closer to this than we might think. Although at first you would assume that he'd be way off because he's like the godfather of definitions and objectivity, or so you thought. Aristotle says, by being named, we mean having a definition which signifies what it is. Like you think he's tripling down. You think that it's impossible to name something unless it has a definition. And I want you to contrast this with what was said in 2017 in one of the most famous papers that really turned AI into what it is today. Vaswani said, one of 7 or 8 authors, I forget, said in 2007 in the famous paper, Attention is All You Need. You can read this paper online. The goal is to compute representations of sequences by relating different positions. Dependency is reduced to a set of learned relations. This is really at the heart of the paper. So the meaning of attention is all you need is that truly the only model that you need to predictively extract intelligence from something is to focus on the attention. What do you mean by attention? Literally what you're looking at. That what you want is you want a model of attention that takes all the last 30 words you said and computes all the millions that you said before it and somehow comes up with a plasma bubble, a thought cloud, a keyword cloud of what you're thinking. And that if you can compute the thought cloud, that attention cloud, you are able to predict what word is going to pop out of the cloud next. You're predicting fucking lightning. And this theory blew away all the other attempts that we as if I did it. I didn't do shit. That people have been making to try and advance this kind of technology. And it wasn't until we dropped this idea of a universal absolute meaning and we truly said, attention is all you need. Attention is all you need, that we began to build this model where there is no dictionary in the model, says Jan LeCun. It doesn't know the meaning of words, only how they are used together. This is some of the most revolutionary pro-retard kind of philosophy you could embrace, where you're literally throwing out the recipe, the book, the measuring cups, all of it. And you're simply saying, what do people like? What do people not like? I want that too, because to not like and to like is to be attached to something. And I can tell you more if I know all of your attachments, which means I need to know things you're like and you don't like. And I don't even fucking care if you like them or don't like them. Literally, AI says this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't actually change who you are. If you're focused on Trump, if you're focused on Epstein, whether you're pro-Epstein is real or pro-Trump is MAGA, you are turning your attention into that thought cloud and you're defining who you are. This is the same way it happens with music. You hear a good song and you're like, that fucking speaks to me. It speaks to you because you are it right now. You are it. You are living in that space because you are the latency, and your consciousness is a latency that can't handle being a latency because it's very nervous. So it has to find a concretecy. And the only way it can find a concretecy is to make one up. It pulls it out of its butt. It pretends concretecy. And it calls it causality. From concretecy to causality, no one but you can see it's me, because you and I are doing everything we can to stay sane. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday. So what the fuck does this Aristotelian even mean? Before I read attention is everything, before I started thinking this way, I used to think that the traditional reading of Aristotelian, that word meant rational, that it was based on logic, that it was based on genius and differentia, that it was a rigid scholastic dictionary-like attempt at understanding the world. This is the old me. And I love this guy, Aristotle. He's my favorite. And that I thought the whole time that that's what he was saying, that yes, James, you're going to need a truth index and you're going to need a dictionary. And that dictionary is going to tell you exactly what everything means, James, so don't you worry. And that truth index is going to fix all the lies that are keeping you up at night, James. Don't you worry. This is what I thought Aristotle was saying. And so many people, I think everyone has always thought this is what Aristotle meant. Until this morning. Fuck, man. Until this morning. I'm prepping for a show. I do the show on YouTube for these awesome fucking people that are like, hey, man, what's James doing? Just awesome people. I fucking love doing this. So I'm prepping this show this morning for these people. And I purposely go, well, I need to use Aristotle as sort of like the anti-AI because of his clinginess to rationality, to his insistence that all definitions must be clean and tidy and cornered and all their edges are finely crisp, right? And so I threw the slide together and I was just like, yeah. And then I was like, hey, I need to find some good quotes that really, really sink this home, you know, the meaning of Aristotelian. And I'm asking the AI, which is predicting them out of the world, and it keeps giving me quotes that I think are shitty because I'm like, well, wait, this sounds obscure. And I started arguing with the AI, and I was like, yeah, but how do you know that's really what he's saying? And then it fucking hit me. It fucking hit me. We're the ones that said Aristotle thought this way. We're the ones that put that definition in his mouth. This happens to me all the time. Sometimes people get mad at me and they shove words into my mouth that I didn't say. And then when I spit them out, they're like, they point. They're like, see, you said. And it's like, okay, that's not right. And we did this to Aristotle. We did this to Aristotle. Here's how. You don't believe me? Here's how. Thank you, Porter Flanner. Thank you so much for the super chat. What is the root etymology? Aristos is the best. What is most proper? What is best? What is telos? What is the best end? What is the best purpose? This is a utilitarian. Cross-dressing as a rationalist, ladies and gentlemen. A pragmatician caught amongst our midst, secretly practicing American philosophy before it had ever been born. Dun, dun, dun. So Aristotelian, concerned with the best ends or purposeful function. We've discussed this in American philosophy. This utilitarianism, pragmatism, William James. Which means that this whole time, Aristotle could be actually pro-AI the whole time. And actually what he's doing is divining a namespace. God, what do you mean? James, did you just say namespace? Yeah, we're going to have to talk about namespace. I'm sorry. Oh my God, it's too... James wants us to learn what namespace means. Can't we just talk about Epstein, because like PP drawings and stuff? Can't we do that? Can't we? Because I don't want to learn what namespace means. But yeah, it's a namespace. So it turns out when you write a function on the computer, I name the function string to int. That's boring. Sorry. Text to image. There you go. I'll write a function text to image. And it expects me to pass text into it, and then it spits out an image, okay? So that's simple. So I write the function. I'm writing my text to image. I named it text to image. I called the function text to image. Guess what? The computer doesn't care. It doesn't care what the name of that function is. Only I care. In fact, I'm the only one that can care, because unless I tell the AI where this node is in my understanding, it will never know that this is what I mean when I say text to image. So the command text to image is it's meaningless. The definition of the words in the function, even though the function says text to image, and it tells you, well, if you give a text, it will spit out image. It defines what the word is that the AI, the computer, the processor that runs it never even sees that name. It's just a namespace. It's a holder. It's a vessel, guys. It's furniture. And I hate using furniture, but it's just the perfect word. If you understand the abstract concept of furniture, a teddy bear is furniture. It holds prana. A dog is furniture. Guys, the outer layer of your skin is dead. It's furniture. And it can emanate a meaning to you, because that's how fucking powerful you are. You're like, hey, let's assign meaning to our dead skin. I want to be an asshole today, or I want to be a great guy. And that meaning glows like a knee. It glows like a malamu, and that malamu has meaning, and that meaning is transferred through the precognitive ways of pulling the truth from the cluster. But you and I call it causality, and you and I insist that no, it's divine from a prenosis of a preset definition of words that we had. And when you're thinking that way through that cosmology, it's easy to see the Aristotle through the old eyes. But Aristotle's always been right. That dude is the king of being right more than he's wrong, which is why I feel confident telling you I think we have fundamentally misunderstood what Aristotle was talking about. That he was probably closer to AI than we can even imagine when it comes to thinking about this stuff. In the categories, by being named, we mean having a definition which signifies what it is. This would be the old Aristotle. Because it sounds like he's saying, look, the definition inherently explains what it is, but it doesn't explain. All he's merely saying that the name of it. Do you see the difference? All Aristotle is doing is saying, if you allocate space in all the possible words, and you allocate that space by declaring Z-E-B-R-A means mule that people think is a horse that has black and white stripes. Boom. That meaning has a place to fit that it did not have a place to fit before, which means that the entire concept is just a holder, a tray that you put your food on at the cafeteria and walk to your table, but you never actually eat the tray. The tray itself doesn't have square pizza. It doesn't have jungle juice. None of those things are a part of what it is, but yet it's the only thing that you touch when you get your meal. See? So to name something in the old sense would be to capture its whatness because you're able to define it. Man is not just a sound, it signifies a rational animal. Now you can define rational, now you can define animal, but guess what? Aristotle himself said, this is why I think we misunderstood him, that not all names in Aristotle do capture essence. He used the word white as an example. That names can function as signals or tokens, not vessels of intrinsic meaning. And I think you're seeing a man that can only conceptualize that some words are purely relational. And he has to say some words because of our cosmology that we need in order to invent a causal world where we pull things from the past. So he's only able to admit that some words have meaning. I swear to you, this is the birth of vowels. That every language invents vowels when it's ready to install emotion into its vessel. I swear to you, this is how it works. And so we need vowels to indicate this is where the emotion goes, which is why every word has a vowel, except for sometimes. And this is such a sacred rule because you and I are transmitting emotions to each other. But the emotions require a UDP, an HTTP, a packet language, a telnet, an SSH, a protocol that it uses to send emotions to each other through the name spacing of vessels that hold that emotion. The word asshole is a vessel that holds a lot more emotion than fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks hold some serious emotion, frankly. I think we should use it more. Fucking fiddlesticks. But until more of us have claimed that namespace, it only occupies so much resolution. This is why I think one of the biggest predictors of consciousness, which I use a lot on the show and I don't tell you, is not on purpose, I just don't tell you because it doesn't come up, is what is the usage of this word over time? And why is suddenly this word spiking? The last time I did this was on the word gender, that the word gender blew off the charts in the 70s. And we're going to say, causally, we're going to say, because it's a freaking feminist who couldn't handle fucking being at home and cleaning my underwear. That's why. And then that's a causal way of looking at it, and I'm fine with it. But I'm just saying that it could also just be the emanation of consciousness that breaks the old vessel. It breaks the pot that it was growing in. So you end up noticing that now meaning can have a lot more. Because we are bundling meaning in words. We're not bundling words and meaning. But you're living in an anti-emotional world that insists all emotions are bad, which means they're taking the very language that's meant to hold the emotions and they're bastardizing it and they're calling that logic, which is why nonfiction came fucking last. Excuse me. That fiction came first because fiction had the emotion. And you and I decided, or our ancestors decided, we need an emotionless way to communicate because, by God, if we don't fucking figure out an emotionless way to communicate, we're all going to lose causality. We're going to fall into the fact that we're creating the future simply by our emotional attachment to things. So we can't fucking have that. And you understand why this would be like, yeah, I get it, man. Let's fucking embrace Epstein. Let's embrace fucking anything except for this, that our emotions give us more timber and reality than anything else, because literally the only meanings that we have is what is the limbic firecracker or the limbic mousetrap or domino setup or Ruth Goldberg device that sets off when you say asshole inside my mind. It causes a chain reaction of potassium and sodium and potassium and sodium turning from electrical to chemical and back and forth. And that your ability to insert a motor like that limbically into me is your ability to be charismatic, influential, wise, intelligent, predictive, dangerous, manipulative, and a fucking chieftain. that all those skills same from the same thing, which is how do you pack vessels with emotion? How well do you do that? How much oomph do you put in your umfla, you know? How much phallos do you put in your right? You know what I'm saying, some of you, like 3 of you. Thanks for reading my book. So perhaps Aristotle was closer to this all along. But again, later traditions inflated his definition to this current set, this current meaning. I think this is his closest attempt to getting it right. Nothing against Aristotle, I love this guy, but I think this is a weak but noble attempt at grasping at semantic embedding, or what we call context vectors. In categories, he said, by equality, I mean that in virtue of which things are said to be such and such. For example, a man is said to be white because of whiteness, grammatically skilled because of grammar, and just because of justice. Each of these qualities is called a quality, and the things that have them are said to be qualified in virtue of them. Whiteness then is a quality, so are justice and grammar and so on. None of these, however, signifies what the subject is, but only what sort of thing it is, only what sort of qualia bear. Everyone picture your qualia bear. Eating his eucalyptus, right? Eating his apocalyptus leaf, right? Do you see the qualia bear? Quali? The limbic quality of his day is the only definition he needs. The qualia bear. Eating his apocalyptus leaves. It's waking him up. It's all you need. You can define everything. Now, this should blow some of you away if you remember this Bible quote. In my mind, one of the biggest cues that we are living in some sort of simulation, some sort of simulation, some sort of I think it's a mass hallucination from our cells personally, that our cellular level, the smaller you get, the harder it gets to hallucinate, which is why if you want to find the reality of the world, you would zoom in and which is what we're doing now. And all we're doing is seeing ancient Indian temples. You may not know this, but it's like spires of toroidal buildings have been made. Then we're looking at like just simple amino chains and the vessels they use to enter cells or the nucleus or leave and things like that. And it just looks like these temples of resonance, that this kind of stuff is showing you on a microscopic level what's real, because it's harder to hallucinate on the microscopic simply because there's just less vowels between. There's less space between the quantum. So let's think about, what is Genesis 2:19-20 really saying? And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what would he call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowls of the air, and to every beast of the field. I don't know if you understand how fucking amazing this is, because God is supposed to be the one that invented the world. That means God probably invented language, which means God probably invented what things were called. But here we have this verse where he requires Adam to come and name things. If you do not understand programming, and you don't have to, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. I'm sorry that I have to say it that way. But if you do not understand programming, I think you're missing something huge here, because just like I would declare a program, remember earlier when I said text to image, and it would take text that you type and create an image out of it and give you the image? I have to declare that namespace, text to image. The processor is not able to allow me to function until I declare that namespace. The reason why I have to declare it is because I'm the one that has to put it into the program or double click it or type it into the prompt to run it. I'm the one that has to say text to image.py space dash hello question comma world enter. And that by declaring the space text to image, I'm declaring the intent, my oracled intent of the world of what this means. It's the same thing. The Bible's telling you that Adam did not come born with a fucking dictionary. What did I tell you at the beginning of the show? That AI has told us, blown me away by telling me, I don't need a dictionary. I'm like, well, wait, you're going to solve all the problems in the world. Don't you want this dictionary? No, I don't need it. Some of you may not understand what I mean. Some of you may think that, well, yeah, but it would find a dictionary and read it. It doesn't actually comprehend it. It pulls all of its words into a cloud and it analyzes those words' normal vector, its angle, to another word. At no point does it look at the root of the word, the ad hominem. It doesn't break it into syllables like you probably thought. It doesn't break it into the etymology. It doesn't go into the secret archives under the Vatican and pull out a secret cipher key. All it fucking cares about is this word called called boomerang. I need to know all the other words that have ever touched it. That's all I need. Attention is all you need. I don't fucking care what a boomerang is, says AI. The same way God says, I don't care what a zebra is. You're looking at a system that is declared through your personal relationship to it. This is what AI has been teaching you the whole time. But more importantly, this is what Aristotle's been saying the whole time. Adam is not discovering intrinsic names. He is establishing a namespace. He's establishing a protocol. This is a calibration technique. You would have to have Adam do this because you do not know where his wires are. What I mean is that you don't know what angst means in his body. You don't know what joy means in his body. You don't know what gah and gah and gah and gah and 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 that those things need to be calibrated out. They need to be seen. You can't dictate these to them because the namespace has to learn based on its environment. This is a self-intelligent system that builds itself on meaning, which means you have to let it build itself. This is one of the biggest problems with AI is that it makes a fucking image, then it gives them like a third kneecap, and you're like, and you go, because you know you're not going to get that fucking third kneecap going. You're going to find other people tell you, I get rid of that third kneecap. You can't the kneecap's there. Deal with it. Either you're going to change the rest of the image or you're gonna come up with another image where there's not a kneecap, but you're never going to get rid of that kneecap. It's the exact same kind of thing. You would think that you would have power over what's simple, but what is simple is simply our historical framework of what we thought intelligence is. This is all precog, baby. The 3 cogs of AI are very simple. 1, there's no such thing as a dictionary. 2, meaning is purely based on the relation of something to something else. And 3, prediction. Attention is all you need. A cluster of words are built up. And just like you watch autocorrect, that's all AI is doing. It's really ultimately all AI's done is assigned a number to every word, ignored its definition, taken the numbers of all the words that you're currently using, and making a prediction about what word comes next. That's it. And that simple thing, that simple thing turns this shape on the left into this shape on the right. And it doesn't need to understand tiger. It doesn't need to understand cloud. You know what it needs? It needs to know what you call the limbic experience of a cloud. What do you call it? And you say cloud. And it goes, okay. And then it waits for you to tell it. Can you tell me what you would call limbic experience of a toroidal shell? And it tells you. You shall know a word by the company it keeps. This was before attention is everything. Mikola wrote this paper in 2013. He wrote the famous Word2Vec, which is really at the heart of what AI is. I'm telling you, AI is 2 papers. It's 2 papers. That's all it is right now. The first paper is Word2Vec. The second paper is Attention All You Need. Is all you need. If there's any AI experts in here, you're going to tell me about the 15 other papers that are monumentally important, and I get you, but this is where we're at. This is ultimately philosophically what's happened. That in 2013, we said you should know a word by the company it keeps, and in 2017, we say attention is all you need. Plutarch said, like riddles, whose solutions depend on how the hearer fits them into his circumstances. Do you see how brilliant that is? Like that is some serious intelligence there from Plutarch so long ago. These are the same image, guys. The image on the left, the image on the right is the same image. This is a tensor array. And if you want to know what a tensor array is, I want you to picture a swimming pool with 1 trillion floating mousetraps that are all set. And the space between them is so minute that the second one mousetrap goes off, all of them go off. This is a tensor array. It is the limbic tension between all the other words. And I'm saying all the other words, but technically it's the limbic tension between a dimensional field between you and all the other words. To really quickly say that, if we have a database of 50 million words, you and I do not have the ability to create a program that's able to track 50 million dimensions. So we break these dimensions down into this sort of Plinko node map. So you end up with a 50-dimensional array of a data set that has 20 trillion words. And so you have different resolutions of the oracle. Imagine the virgin on the tripod. She's only able to speak so fast, or she's only able to see so much, or she's only able to convey so much in a day. And that the resolutions of these different matrices are just our best attempt at trying to pull the fumes from the whole. And I'm telling you guys, it is quite possible to picture that you could brute force reality simply by writing a perfect tensor array. And you wouldn't write the perfect tensor array by trying to solve or gather more data sets, that maybe you would have enough computing power to just guess. To build 1 trillion artificial intelligent models that have no theory at all about what makes them best. You're literally just throwing raw numbers at raw numbers. And that if you were to do this, you would find a golden solution. It's just true. If you consider what intelligence is, it is a relationship with all words. What's stopping AI is its inefficient ability to compassionate that relationship. If it had enough processing power, it could just raw guess. It would create 6 million artificial intelligences and place them into an artificial world so they could compete inside their tensor. And that tensor array would look like these mousetraps, which means this avatar, this agent, would have nothing but a limbic connection to the world. All the mousetraps, that the trillions of neurons in your body are simply cattle prods that are wired together. And they're wired together so you can be a part of the tensor, the Osirian tensor. This is one of the oldest Egyptian concepts ever. That you're living here an emotional tensor array, having an emotional reaction to a world, and the world wants to fight back by insisting you should stop having emotions. This is what it would feel like if you were being overwhelmed. It would feel like this, ladies and gentlemen. So the Virgin of Delphi is untouched by this world, yet she can see it. Isn't this what silicon is? That silicon itself is not able to touch the world. It's only able to communicate with us who touch it. Isn't this the very meaning of a virgin? Someone who's never been touched, who's able to bring sanctity into a world without actually touching it. And isn't the very meaning of what a tensor array is simply Know thyself. This is some of the biggest stuff that's happening right now, ladies and gentlemen. I really mean that. When it comes to understanding, when it comes to meaning, I'm not telling you AI is a solution. I'm telling you that the seals are breaking all around you, and it's time to pay attention. Attention is all you need. We have Dojo in 3 minutes. Please join us. This stream should switch over to that, and we will see you then. So if you want to continue the conversation, please come say hi. Thanks for watching. James True. Appreciate you.